Is cannibalism vegan? One of the most important questions that we should ask ourselves in this brave new world of social engineering us into eating a completely dehumanizing, denatured, disgusting diet. Here we are, asking the hard questions. Vegan cannibals rejoice, there's finally a plant-based version of human flesh. It's called HuFu, guys. HuFu. The healthy human flesh alternative. A plant-based meat product developed for vegan cannibals. Don't worry, it is actually tofu. So, kind of a cheeky little article here about this joke of a product. But, is there something a little bit more insidious going on here? Is there a bigger agenda to this push that we see to normalize cannibalism in the media? Now, I've been talking about this for a while now. I know my buddy Jay Dyer's been talking about this as well. You can check out some of the streams we've done together. But there is a concerted push not only to get us on a plant-based diet based around highly profitable, monocropped, environmentally destructive, malnourishing foods full of anti-nutrients and pesticides. Not only is there a push to get us on a diet of this slop that completely replaces our natural foods that we can grow in our own yard, right? Animal foods, animal protein and fat. Not only are they trying to get us off of our natural foods and onto this soylent slop, but the media is also hardcore pushing the idea of cannibalism, right? Questioning the ethics surrounding eating human beings. Because as we all know, through watching enough television, there are too many people. Right? We get told this all the time. The overpopulation crisis. Climate is changing. Those little nasty sexual enjoyment byproducts that come out of your female counterparts, aka babies, are off-gassing deadly CO2 and destroying the planet. And they're eating meat. Right? All that meat's farting. All the cows are farting. And it's destroying the planet. It's destroying the world. According to the tech overlords. But don't worry, cannibalism just might save the day. You've got the San Diego Museum of Man, Cannibals, Myth, and Reality. This is more than just a cute little museum display. Right? Got the city of San Diego promoting this. Check it out, guys. This little map of a human body, mapping it out just as if it were a cow for a butcher. You got the neck, you got the chuck, you got the ribs. Display has actually been around for several years now. It's basically a barrage of pop culture imagery, suggestive language, gaslighting you into thinking, well, maybe cannibalism isn't so bad after all. Because where do we draw the line, right? Some people will do blood transfusions. You'll do a fecal microbiota transplant. What's the difference between that and eating the old, obsolete, expired, carbon-intensive hardware of grandma and grandpa? Why do humans actually hardly engage in cannibalism if it's so common in animals? ScienceAlert.com. In insect species such as the praying mantis or the Australian redback spider, males offer their bodies as a final gift to females after mating. It's more common than you think in mammals too. Many rodent mothers may eat some of their young if they're sick, dead, or too numerous to feed. For humans, though, cannibalism is the ultimate taboo. In fact, our aversion to cannibalism is so strong that consent and ethics count for little. Ooh. Questioning the ethics of cannibalism. We've got a Swedish researcher pushing eating human flesh as answer to future climate change food shortages. And so, in the near future, the Swedish researcher is positing that it might be a good idea for us to eat human flesh. Right? With food shortages, with the carbon crisis, with the climate changing, we might have to eat grandma and grandpa to stay carbon neutral. But don't worry, guys. You might get some social media credit points if you drink an extra reused brew, which is a quality beer from recycled water, aka human shit. So CNET says, would you consider drinking a beer made from recycled wastewater? We did. And it was actually pretty great. While attending IFA in Berlin, CNET's Andrew Gebhardt ducked into the local water treatment plant, which had partnered with a technology company called Xylem to make reuse brew, a traditional German Albier made from recycled water. Water that started its life at the wastewater plant as a chunky, feces-filled sludge. Alright, so once we finally get past that nasty little taboo of cannibalism, once we get past the taboo of eating grandma and grandpa in order to save the planet, we can chase it down with a nice, healthy, recycled shit water beer from Reused Brew. Now this is technically not vegan, right? Eating human shit, is this technically vegan? I mean, as somebody, I do identify as a vegan. I eat a primarily carnivorous diet, but I came out as trans vegan back in January of this year. And since then, it's been a hard road. You know, a lot of the vegan community doesn't want to accept trans vegans. A lot of them have been spewing hate speech about us. But as a trans vegan, I think that drinking recycled human shit, or even eating recycled human shit burgers, would be a great vegan alternative to tofu. I mean, shit, this stuff is probably going to taste better than your average Beyond Burger. Right? This is going to taste slightly better than the Impossible Burger and probably be more nourishing for us. Right, so the earth is dying, guys. The earth is dying. And we need to eat shit burgers, drink shit beer, eat maggots, and grandma if we want to save the planet. Now, Richard Dawkins, we talked about this quote a few times. Tissue culture clean meat already in 2018. I've long been looking forward to this. What if human meat is grown? Could we overcome our taboo against cannibalism? An interesting test case for consequentialist morality versus yuck reaction absolutism. All right, so all you absolutist bigots out there are going to stop the progress that we could make with growing humans in a lab to consume. We've talked about this quote, but this wasn't convincing enough for some people. Some people say, it's just Richard Dawkins. Yeah, he's just the kook. No one out there is advocating for cannibalism. I don't have the article pulled up right now, but there was a CNN reporter who actually consumed human brain with some of these cannibal people in India. This dude consumed a human brain. I think he might have even drinking something out of a human skull as well with these cannibals. This moral relativism. No, we're all just arrangements of molecules, man. We're all just arrangements of molecules, like Ben Goertzel said. Ben Goertzel, the transhumanist AI programmer behind Sophia the robot. This ideology is leading us quickly to considering, should we eat grandma and grandpa to save the planet? A friendly atheist wrote an article all about those pesky little religious bigots who are hating on Sir Richard Dawkins, evolutionary biologist, for talking about eating people. All right, so we talk about a lot on this channel how important it is to get in high-quality nutrition. Right? Animal foods being the cornerstone of a healthy human diet. You can't live on corn alone. You can't live on bread alone. But there are a lot of people who've been living on meat alone for years and thriving. Now, I'm not saying everybody should eat an all-meat diet, but it is interesting that you can't eat a plant-based diet. Excuse me, Klaus, a plant-based diet. You can't eat a plant-based diet without heavily supplementing nutrients that the plant-based diet is devoid in. Vitamin B12 being one of them. Right? The low bioavailability of protein and nutrients that are locked up in the anti-nutrient matrix of these plant foods makes it very, very difficult to nourish ourselves on a plant-based diet. Yet people are eating an all-meat diet, reversing health conditions, completely remitting autoimmune conditions, and thriving. Very, very interesting. Then we talk about how veganism is basically cannibalism anyways. Right? You deplete your body of all the fat the dietary fat gets removed from the diet, what do you have left to consume but your own flesh? And we see it in these vegans. Right? We see the degeneration in the vegan community. We see the degeneration in the plant-based dieters. We see the gut health being destroyed. But it's funny because we're always talking about how veganism is basically cannibalism. You're cannibalizing your own body. You're cannibalizing your own lean muscle tissue. But the question is cannibalism vegan? Right? What about consensual cannibalism? We're being told that having backyard chickens that produce their own eggs, that we can consume on a daily basis and feed our children with bioavailable protein, fat-soluble vitamins, and minerals that you're not going to get from the plant kingdom. We're told that that's not sustainable, right? You got to eat a Beyond Burger. It's not sustainable you can't even catch rainwater in certain states in the U.S. It's illegal to harvest rainwater in many states. Yet we're told that it's sustainable and enlightened to eat lab-grown meat because it's cruelty-free. The vegan movement is one part of the controlled opposition that we see being hijacked by global corporate interests who are pushing a dehumanizing Brave New World technocracy on us in the name of and under the guise of sustainability, saving the planet, and saving all the future generations, and saving biodiversity. All right, got the World Wildlife Foundation, founded in part by Julian Huxley, a rabid eugenicist, a mentally ill man, brother of Aldous Huxley, who wrote Brave New World, basically the blueprint for the world we see being constructed today. Their grandfather was T.H. Huxley, Darwin's bulldog, who actually spearheaded Darwinism into mainstream consciousness. And he reared H.G. Wells, the science fiction author, who also wrote a lot of nonfiction. One of them being, one of the books he wrote being The Open Conspiracy. This is a very interesting book. If you want to understand the mind state and long-term plans of the global oligarchic ruling class elite who believe that they are taking the reins of evolution and controlling evolution and natural selection through their will. These are the type of people who wield media as a weapon and who use it to formulate your worldview and my worldview to get us to accept dehumanizing food sources like shit water beer, grandma and grandpa's flesh, and Beyond Burgers. These are the people who are able to brainwash an entire generation, cradle to grave, making them feel guilt-ridden, and giving them safe, little, fake counterculture movements that feed right into the global corporate oligarchs' agenda. That's who's telling you that you should give up the meat and become a cannibal. Now, the question that we started with, is cannibalism vegan? Well, according to the searches that I've done, yes. Cannibalism is one of the most vegan things you can do. This guy says if a friend dies at a young age, is pretty healthy, and says in his last will and testament that he wants to be prepared by great chefs and served to his friends, these people say, yeah, that's super vegan, dude. This guy says it's gross, but vegan. Sure, why not? He gave consent. No suffering or death was caused. Many people are ready to accept this stuff. I'll tell you what, we sure aren't. We're going to keep eating meat and making families. We're going to keep feeding ourselves the most nutrient-dense, nourishing, and important building blocks of the human body, and that's animal fats and proteins. All these people talking about saving the planet have been sold a false bill of goods that have been sold on a false ideology using false information that tells them that animals are bad for the planet, that we need to give up animal husbandry. When in fact, animal husbandry, locally produced animal foods are the only way that we can actually feed ourselves without ripping up and tearing up the environment even more. That's why we focus heavily on regenerative agriculture. That's why we are homesteaders ourselves and are working towards being self-sustained and self-sufficient off of our own land. And so we're not going to be eating grandma and grandpa anytime soon. Although these vegans are saying Consensual cannibalism is vegan. Alright, so what about while living? Meat from a human who still lives is only vegan if the human gives consent to the injury/amputation, or it's in their best interest. Oh, well, who decides if it's in their best interest? Very interesting concept. Or if the human gives consent to the use of the body part. Alright, so if I decided to donate my leg to some of these malnourished vegans, and if I decided, look, Dr. Greger, you're looking gaunt, dude. Here's my leg. Eat my leg. And get your health back. And apparently that would be vegan if I consented. Fascinating. Here's another one on Reddit. Is consensual cannibalism vegan? Scenario. Friend dies at a young age. It's pretty darn healthy, right? Got a nice, healthy, soy-fed, tofu-fed human. Last will and testament asked to be prepared by the greatest chefs of the land and served to his friends. The plates are served at his funeral reception and it smells good. Can I eat this? If he provided consent, he's not disease-ridden, it isn't going to hurt the environment, and won't promote unethical business practices or animal suffering. Yeah, it's pretty vegan. Sure, why not? He gave consent. Completely. Veganism isn't a practice without justification. There we go. So, yes, eating human flesh is vegan. Of course, eating animal flesh is not. But human flesh, totally vegan. All right, so another thing we often talk about here is the importance of media, right, as a control structure. Media is used, advertising is used, not just to sell you on objects, right? Advertisement is not just all about selling you stuff. It's about selling you on a worldview. It's about manipulating your worldview. It's about creating and forming your reality. And so media and advertisement, museums. All right, this is weaponized anthropology. And if you can program somebody from the time they're a little child using emotionally charged imagery and language, if you can raise a generation cradle to grave on this weaponized media, the possibilities are pretty amazing. You can get useful idiots to actually protest for the removal of their rights to nutritious, nourishing foods, for the removal of their rights to own property, to own land. And you can get people to be proud of serving some of the most reprehensible human beings for the most reprehensible agendas that you could possibly imagine. And that's what we see with a lot of the useful idiot vegans out there. Right? These people who will willingly work for Prince Khalid bin al-Walid of the House of Saud. But you can also brainwash people into doing things that just a couple generations ago nobody would have ever considered. Is cannibalism vegan? According to the internet, absolutely, completely vegan. Not only vegan, but the most vegan thing you could possibly do. So this guy, Magnus Söderlund, who is a behavioral scientist, ooh, what a surprise, and marketing strategist, arguing for the breaking of ancient taboos against eating flesh. Selling us on the idea of eating human flesh. How fascinating. That in his bio, it's from the Stockholm School of Economics, he states that his research focus includes consumer behavior, marketing stimuli, loyalty, emotions, justice perceptions, psychological reactions. Because these are the tools that get weaponized against us. Anyways, you can find more at primaledgehealth.com. We won't be eating meat from human beings at any point in the future in our family here. We're going to keep eating meat and making families. We're going to keep nourishing ourselves with the most nutritionally dense and health building and ecologically beneficial foods that we can eat. And those are locally produced animal foods. We're going to keep producing our own meat, our own eggs, and feeding our children from the fat of the land because we still can. And we're not going to let these douches dupe us into eating grandma and grandpa. So I don't give a shit if cannibalism's vegan or not. I'm not going to be doing it anytime soon. I'm going to keep eating my cows. I'm going to keep eating my chickens. And I hope y'all are going to do the same. You can find more at primaledgehealth.com. So a lot of these vegans out there already are cannibals, but they're just eating their own bodies. Richard Dawkins and this Swedish behavioral scientist say that the next step is to go fully green and eat those old expired boomers who are taking up all that extra space. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Normalizing cannibalism. But that's the world we live in today. But we ain't buying it. You guys can find more at primaledgehealth.com. I'm out of here.